All right, so I just did it again because it tells me I'm having trouble and it's unstable, but it's really off. You know?
Okay, but the Wi-Fi, some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I have it on mobile hotspot. That's why.
Okay.
I might have lost it a little bit when I was on the phone, and
That
might have glitched it up a little bit. You know.
But yeah.
Yeah. But I was but from what I know of Dad, so he's a very sincere student because I know the God that's teaching him. Black man a lot. He's people that he teaches are sincere with it. You know what I mean?
So you over in LA, black man a lot?
No, he's out here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Brownsville. Yeah.
Oh shit.
But guys like that, they they've been everywhere. So
yeah,
he ended up getting it over here. But
some brothers follow.
Some people
posted.
Some people were tight because he put the book that's horrible, and I was like, man, I gotta let's just try to give him the good books because But from what I heard, he has a lot of the books, so you know what I'm saying. And if he doesn't have them, now he knows I can get them to him or what they are. If he didn't have them. But it wasn't the point. He was trying to use it as like that he's reading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the title related to him. Like he was trying to use that title as a prop. Because the title is Why I'm a 5%. So I was like, yeah. So it was more a declaration. You know what I mean? Right?
Hey, man, I mean, I don't know. I'll try to look at the silver lining in it all. He's attempting, you know what I mean? But like you said.
Right, but that's the thing. Yeah. You know what's funny? That we always get taught that 5%ers could look like anything. But trust me, when they don't appear to be what you think they ought to be, people get upset. And I'm saying that personally from my experience, right? I'm not the typical 5%er, you know what I'm saying? Right? Even if you come and say, oh, well, we used to Puerto Ricans and shit like that. Oh, yeah, but, I didn't kill a million.
Even like with the low life shit.
I mean, yeah. Absolutely.
Either you God or you low life. You can't be both. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, that's not.
Because if I wear too much polo, I mutate and I become
no longer the God.
Yeah. And these people that get mad about that, and they're wearing more corporate clothing than me. You know what I'm saying?
Even if the shit is cheap.
If you're wearing sports clothing, right? If you're wearing sports clothing, you're wearing billion-dollar corporations. You know what I mean? If you're wearing Yankee gear, because I ain't a Yankee fan though. You're wearing Evil Empire right there. There's a fact though, because when I was getting that with the guy, because he's a Yankee fan. But the Yankees have, they set it off. They're the team that set off all the devilishment.
In New York?
No, in baseball, period. There's a reason that they won all the chips because they made sure that they got all the players. Like, it's a lot of devilishment. You know what I mean? In fact, the founding of the Yankees is actually a guy who was ousted as a crooked police chief in New York, and he went and stole funds from the police department, New York City Police Department, and started the ball club. The fucking Yankees are founded on fucking, basically stolen funds. Yeah, sequestered, And then the NY of the Yankees, right? Because I'm a Mets fan. So, I did this just purely for the pettiness of the research. You know what I mean? I didn't do this no insight about America and shit. I did it for the pettiness of being a Mets fan. Because we lose all the time, so I might as well win something.
Right.
But the NY of the hat, right? Okay. This is how devious this shit. Okay. This thing ain't shit. The original NY was actually from a medallion that was given to the widows of police officers killed in the line of duty. Oh. He said, fuck that. That's going to be the logo for my cap. And he took it. Something that was prized people's memoriam. And he put it on a ball club hat.
He was trying to rep for his dead homies, man. They gonna be with us forever, bro.
Yeah, right? So he didn't even make no original logo.
Okay, that's I didn't even thought some look into that.
And then of course the Mets NY, the New York Giants when they were here,
right.
Those are all manipulations. They just curve it out and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be different, you know what I mean? But that's where it came from. You know
Sounds like some real New York shit.
Yeah. But like And I'm saying this for a build that I had, because the guy was getting like kind of upset that I was telling him he was getting mad about, and I love the guy. I've known the guy for years. He was getting mad, or he didn't like, I'm not gonna say he was mad, I'm gonna say his emotions on fucking FB. But he didn't like that I was telling him, you can't get mad about the supposed alleged Astros cheating when, you know, y'all cheated through a whole steroid era.
Yeah.
You know, in the whole steroid era, they achieved the most. So, and they benefited the most because they achieved the most.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Listen. Yeah,
and then he just tried to say, oh, well, you're a Met fan and there were steroid guys there too. But, you know, that shit doesn't count with me because I literally stopped following baseball because of that.
Right.
You know, I stopped. Once all the steroid came out, I was like, nah, I'm not watching all this shit like that. This shit was crazy. You know what I mean? Because to me, steroids are, I think that's the biggest way of the biggest form of cheating.
Right.
Because if you do any type of athletics, you know what I'm saying? Look, I've been with martial artists that are legendary, do movies and shit. And when we build, some of the first things they ask is, oh, yo, this shit takes a toll on the leg, man. What do you do to preserve your legs and shit? Now think about that shit for a minute. And then think about the benefits of steroids, that the entire benefit of it is to allow you to recuperate while you continue to go gain more muscle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's what makes athletics difficult. It's not necessarily the fact that the game is hard. These are the top guys. They know how to play. But it's the endurance and still being at the top when the game is on the line, at the end, after the long season, then the playoffs, right? It's the grind. It's marathon level shit, all the team sports. So he was trying to say it had to do with me, but in this case, though, you know, I'm bougie and I get to throw rocks in the glass house because I didn't give a fuck about baseball.
Right.
And I hate all the steroid era stats. But the reason I was saying this, right, is in this way of building, right, is that he said something that we got to look at. He said, they call it the steroid era, right? They call it the steroid era. So that it makes it almost legitimate because everybody was doing it. It's almost like if there was an era in 2050 where the gods, like for 2050 to 2060, all the gods was eating pork.
No,
but there was builders though.
That's what
I'm telling you, Cassim, there was builders.
Was going.
There was builders during that 2050 era. You know, they did great
all
things.
All the guys I seen, they was eating real tips and shit. Like,
yeah. And I'm like that. Nah, they kept the teachings alive, but they're not the gods. You know what I'm saying? They're not the gods because the real potential of what the greatness wasn't fulfilled to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the most basic requisite was cheated. It was taken away. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. If you just do basic weightlifting, like I'm not no incredible weightlifter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I get it in. Man, tomorrow I'm gonna be at because I train 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and then I got the kids, and I'm like, man, by tomorrow night, I'm a different person though. Yeah. I'm crashing and watching almost nothing Friday night because I'm done. I need rest and recuperation immediately. You know what I'm saying? But and then I have the days off, and I could get it, and I could play with the kids, and and I have the energy to play with my girl. But what if I was taking a steroid though, man? I'd be jacked up and train all the time and shit. You know what I mean?
Steroid rage and shit.
It means something though. It's like when we define an era historically as something, doesn't justify the era. It means that we gotta have levels of integrity with shit. So even if you was a fan of something and they want it the wrong way, you gotta be like, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like that too because a lot of times with sports, I'm a fan of players, except for the Mets is the team I've always rooted for. Man, basketball, I don't give a shit about the Knicks, especially when I saw them toss around Oakley like he was a fucking nigger. You know what I mean? And I used the ER, right? They tossed around Oakley, it was shit. I watch the Knicks now and I don't feel anything because all I see is like a rising team that is playing for a racist. you know. And you could argue, you go, oh, well, they're all racist. They all have racists in them, and it's all a hustle. Yes, but that's just the way it is. I saw that, so now I don't give a shit whatever the Knicks do. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
Just like I hated the Nets, as long as Jay-Z was part of that shit, because he helped gentrify Brooklyn.
All sports is that nothing that the devil gives.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing more a better example than he likes the devil. The devil gives him nothing in sports. You know what I mean? You know, people are Dodgers fans. I mean, they gentrified violently. Not like Brooklyn. They did it smooth. They kicked them out. Rents due, you're out.
Right.
LA Dodgers, they violently gentrified the entire area. Mm-hmm. If you ever watched that program, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that program Mayans MC. Their intro for this new season, though, has footage of that. Now, I remember my brother I was telling my brother, wow, this is dope footage they put together. He's like, I don't really get it. Why they show baseball and then they show people getting the people throwing out their homes is how they made the baseball club, the stadium. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go, we're leaving Brooklyn, though, because we got a spot out there. Nah, they left because they taking a spot. And you know what I mean? It's a lot of devilishment. And it changes the way you look. Sometimes it won't affect the person. So I get that. But to me, it does. You know what I'm saying? I'm not moving for that shit. You know what I mean? That shit is crazy. And as an athlete, that shit is bullshit to me.
Right.
Because I would like our people to like use athletics so we could gain longevity, right? That's the whole point of Kung Fu. And then we use these athletics and this training so that we get a natural longevity, not that we falsely get it. Because, you know, the steroids, these guys aren't living very well either. Yeah, they don't really have the longevity. They have the longevity while they're playing, but then they're broken down. Yeah. They're broken down. Crazy. You know what I mean?
I should do more harm than good. You know what I'm saying?
790, forever rubbing this in the face of my diehard Yankee fan. Remember? Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I wrote a piece though, and one of my old newspapers I made up was called Lavoie Revolt, named after Hector Lavoie. Mm-hmm. Right? So it was the voice of. Lavoie means the voice. So I wrote the voice of Revolt, and Revolt is one of my favorite salsa songs by Eddie Palmieri, which literally is about Puerto Rican independence. Okay. So I wrote Lavoie Revolt. I had written that piece there. It's still up there. Gotta find it. I put the link in there. I was just being petty, and I did all this research. I was like, man, it's crazy. And I was only writing a blog, and I was like, damn, I was finding so much stuff. Right. I said, shit, I gotta leave it at the origins, because I couldn't go through the Babe Ruth era and how they locked down, you know, all of these great players every single time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just, you know, like, and clubs follow suit. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of shit.
There's a reason. Like when you look deeper into it, man, it's not just because they're blessed that the Celtics end up having all these great teams. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, you know, like, oh, look, we won 1 million championships in a row. You know, like they're doing things. You know, now it's more evident because the big markets have more money already. So we don't look at it as like evil. But that establishment of the big city market was done because of New York, the New York Yankees. That concept.
Manipulation in sports. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That concept is real. But yeah, 793. Check out that article I just posted there. You know what I mean? I wrote. Obviously, you can see when I wrote that. I wrote that in 08 when the Mets didn't do shit anyway. You know what I mean? And I wasn't watching any sports. I really wasn't watching sports. I remember I was watching baseball because I wanted to. I started going to games when Jose Reyes was playing, when he started to play. I forget when he started to play. And I really enjoyed the way he was playing. And my little group, my oldest daughter was young. So I got into it and to try to take her to some games and stuff. And that was when he was really killing it. 05, 06, 07. That's my daughter. My first daughter was little. You know, I mean, she was like 4 or 5. And they would give that was when they made Build the Bear, you know, Mets Bears, and I would go get it for her. But after that, though, I wouldn't watch any games.
Right.
So I wouldn't be following it home. I'd have to read the stats to check it out. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? But then I wrote that piece. So I don't know what the hell sparked me to get it. So. But yeah, the God, if you see, see that medallion, that's what they gave. So you got the NY.
That's crazy. Bro.
And then there's a picture in the New Yorker, the Big Chief's fairy godmother. Look, and there's a picture where they're showing how that chief that eventually started the Yankees, how he was embezzling mad funds while he was police chief. You know, he was fucking dirty chief police chief. Like when they chronicle he was a dirty police chief.
And then
how much extra dirty is that? To us though, all of the police is dirty. So like, if you're a dirty police, that's like extra dirty. Like he's like Das FX dirty. Like, fucking from the sewer. Straight from the sewer, right? You smell like manure, right? Oh, Cleon Jones. Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's real peace. That's real peace. That's the miracle Mets. You know what I mean? But my father is a Mets fan, so that's how I got into that. But because he was a Dodgers fan, and he was a big Willie Mays fan too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they lost all of that. You know what I mean? Willie Mays, you know, they left to San Francisco, and then the Dodgers left, so he had nothing. That's what the Mets were a replacement for.
I feel like that's probably how my pops was with baseball and shit back then.
Oh,
he used to collect cards and all that shit, but then he just stopped sports and shit like that. I ain't really seen.
You know, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm a horrible baseball player. I was a horrible player.
I don't know how to play ball. We good.
Yeah. I could really throw, but at this height, how could I be a pitcher? But and I had zero accuracy though. So right. I could throw really far, but I had zero accuracy. So I don't know what the fuck.
You just made the right guard.
Yeah. And no, but the worst thing I did was what most people expect. I couldn't feel for shit. I could not catch a ball. And outfield, when that ball was in the air, I could not. My depth perception was terrible. I could never tell where it was. I'd run up, it would be behind me. I'd run back, it'd be in front of me. I had no depth perception with a fly ball. It was crazy. It was horrible. I was a horrible baseball player.
That was me with football.
Yeah. You know, if the gods didn't show me kung fu, I wouldn't be a good athlete in anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're crazy. You know? But you know, I said all that sports stuff is because we got to start to act. You know, we can enjoy things, and we can enjoy the winners that the teams and the people that we want to win. But we also have to be willing to say, like, you know what? I'm not going to celebrate that anymore because it's not right and exact. You know what I'm saying? It's not right and exact. And it's messed up sometimes because, like, let's say if you were a kid during the Yankees winning all those chips, and it's your childhood, but A-Rod's a piece of shit. There's no way around it. You know what I mean? There's no way around it, you know? Barry Bonds, I mean, come on. He went nuclear. Like, if you study baseball, that shit is cartoon stats. The stats that he got were cartoon stats, you know? It was cartoon stats, you know. This shit is, you know, people go, oh, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's not, you know, like, it takes things out of context, you know. What about a person like Bruce Lee that wasn't doing stuff like that? And then the feats that he got too, you know what I mean? Right? To me, that whole steroid era is ruined just for, like, look at Ken Griffey. Yeah. Right? People had to see him deteriorate like a regular player, and it was really more disappointing because you saw all the steroid guys keep moving.
Yeah.
Right? They had their second win while he was deteriorating, and you're thinking like, oh, he's trash. So the context of the honorable player is out of context. You know what I mean? That's why, like, with everything, you got to give it context. Everything. This is why, like, when I write and I talk about music and I say, listen, don't give people credit for a radio hit that they paid for. You know what I mean? And people go, well, no, Flex was taking money, and they'll hate Flex. But then they won't worry. They don't think about, what did actually Flex play? Because what he played is what was paid. You know what I'm saying? It's not like if he took payola, he played the records that were paid for.
Right.
So don't tell me about Jay-Z records, and those are the records that were paid for. You know what I mean? Don't tell me that they're the best quality records, that they earned the spot. You know, this means something. This means something because we're the gods and the earths. We're the ones that, like, we're going to understand the world of Muck and Meyer and all that kind of shit. But we got to do little things, at least something, to at least push some type of envelope to a little bit more integrity. You know what I'm saying? Something. It can't be everything. You know, God, you DJ. You can't just keep it rugged the whole set. You got to play something that people like. But what? You try to push something that is in there. And if there's somebody like, let's say, a pop star that tries to have some integrity or tries to do like Bruno Mars, where they try to do soul music, right? If you know your soul music, you know it's just good and it's just retro. It's nothing amazing, but at least people like it, and you could push the concept, the ear, to hearing a song that's sung like naturally without 1,000 effects. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be nice? You know what I mean? It's like what cipher are you in that you could inject a little bit of integrity into? You know what I'm saying? Something. And that's what makes a 5%er. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's what makes a 5%. It doesn't mean if you got the Yankee hats with all the chips on, I'm still gonna laugh at you, whatever. You know what I mean? But where would you inject the integrity then? You know what I'm saying? Because integrity sometimes, right? We talk about the 1 in 36. He likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing. That isn't a degree for you to be looking down at those old ancient people and going, y'all niggas is fools, though. Right, you know, Can the devil fool God now? Cipher. Everybody want to do that. That's everybody's build. Can the devil fool God now? Cipher. Yes, thank you. Right? We know. But what about the idea of your own self? What is your own self? You know what I'm saying? Where are the moments where you could get fooled? Like, for example, right? We deal with diet. We talk about diet, right? I keep telling people like, yo, if you deal with a vegan diet, though, you're on your jizzle labels on repeat forever, for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Look at last week. We were talking about, oh, you can eat a vegan burger. Don't eat the soy protein isolates and stuff. But then they make burgers without it. But then now, these burgers, they sound really good and they don't go down so bad. But that's because now they start to add microcellulose, which literally is a laxative, which means that most likely that food is not being absorbed by your body. Because if it was, why would they include a laxative to push that shit out ASAP? Wouldn't the body do it now? Right? It's not like it's time set release. Right. That shit's just flushing quickly. And if you're a vegan for a long time, like I am, I flush quicker. So that means that I just ate like a whole dead food because whatever they think was living in that food, it's getting pushed out by the microcellulose. I just drank a laxative with my damn meal. So you always got to be reading. You always got to be doing the knowledge. You know what I mean? Where do I like the devil? Because the devil gives me nothing. What is becoming nothing? Nothing, this build. Nothing is not a value. Nothing is a subjective perception. You know what I'm saying? So it could be something or it could be nothing. Nothing means that you've perceptually given it a value of no worth. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically far answering after the fact. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is that there's always moments where we bear witness that there's value in things. You know what I mean? And we always got to be looking at them. You know? Always got to be looking. Is there value in this? Is there value in honoring that? Even if you're watching sports and stuff, there's value in rooting for that. You know what I mean? Is there value in that? That's why I was questioning like the Knicks and stuff. I just find it very intriguing that we saw one of the beloved Knicks. He was like, if it was outside, it was almost like police brutality, but they didn't cops and they didn't have them, Why all of a sudden when the team is good now, it's okay. It's okay. And I'm sorry though, but this is me, I'm little, I'm short. I like guard play. You know what I mean? Unless it's Zion, I get bored with forward play. And Jason Tatum, though, because Jason Tatum moves like a guard, though. He'd be nice with it. But I like guard play. I find Julius Randle, and especially RJ Barrett boring as hell. I don't care. You know what I mean? But now it's okay. And nobody says, look, I love the Knicks, but I still have a problem with that. We never get our answers and stuff. So now, do we know if Spike Lee is being mistreated when he goes to the Garden? Or is it, though, that now that the Knicks are good, he's willing to take out his ID every time? We don't even know the difference. we don't seem to care either. This is what I'm talking about. Like, where do we inject the integrity? Because everything else is now just wisdom knowledge. You don't even know. We keep doing this with all types of things. And I'm like, what's the point of being a 5%er if we don't pick out some of the things that we do? Maybe it can't be all of them. If you're young, I want you to think it should be all of them. If you're young, if you're a teen, fuck everything, fuck the world, dismantle everything all the time, right? This is the power of youth. Yeah. But even if you're older and I'm teaching you, let's keep it real. I'm not teaching you for you. I'm teaching you so you could teach your children. You're not going to teach them this daring and innovation to be willing to go into ciphers and demand integrity. That's one of the easiest ways that a 5%er can build. That the God and the earth build. Like, where do you demand integrity? Where? Because we got this knowledge and stuff, and it's like we're just navigating better, for ourselves and shit. You know what I mean? Right. But we're not really demanding any ciphers uphold a better integrity. And that shit is whack to me. I find it like, it's almost like we're that sociologist. We're not the embedded sociologists. We're the sociologists that have seen everything, the typical westernized sociologist, and we've made a perfect tally of the situation, and we could document it. But we're good, though. You know what I'm saying? We're good. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big problem, because Michael Muhammad Knight embedded himself, and after he lied to me, wait, let's reverse that. After he told me the truth, and it didn't work, that you can't just come in here and just do the knowledge without any interest at all, and tell me that your interest is just to document what we're doing, because I'm not a specimen at the zoo. Right. You know what I mean? And at the time that he came, though, this classroom was crowded. And I was like, nah, you're not taking that space up. You know what I mean? And you don't even know what you're filming, which is another thing, right? And I just had a hunch, though. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's all Tony Montana, but I just had a hunch. I don't like that guy. I never like him. I never like him. But I didn't let him come in. Right. So then he starts to lie and become that other sociologist, the one that embeds yourself and say, yeah. And he was telling people, because I remember building with Azrael, Remembered Imperfection, Azrael. And he said, he pulled me aside after the first book. And he was like, listen, he put a lot of things in that book that are wrong. And he didn't really ask me properly because, like for documentation. Yeah. He was just, but he said he wanted to be a 5%er like me. That's what Azrael told me. And so I taught him like he was my son, like son of Azrael. He was teaching him like that. He put a lot of love into teaching him. He thought like, this guy could be that, leading white 5%er that could, take it to the youth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Right. And he was so disappointed. And that shit got me even more mad.
That got me mad now. So
you know what I'm saying? That got me mad because Azrael, he made mistakes like anyone, but he always was sincere. So he embedded himself as someone that wanted to get this knowledge, but he never did anything to get this, never quoted anything. And you look through the books, I'll give you an example. He says, Allah B taught me that understanding is what you think something ought to be. Now, since when? You know what I'm saying? Since when? You know what I mean? Since when is that understanding? And I don't even have, I showed Allah B, but I didn't have to tell Allah B, was this true that you said this?
Right.
Because that's, it's so off point. You know what I mean? Like, let alone if you're into hip hop and you read how he gets everything about Wu-Tang wrong. It's like, damn, Wikipedia? Why you could just have Wikipedia Wikipedia tab open when you did the beginning of that book. You know what I mean? He's mixing You God with RZA, and I was like, oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And 793rd, I remember. Yeah, Patrick Ewing wasn't recognized at the gate. How did you not recognize Patrick Ewing?
That's crazy.
All I'm saying is if you work at MSG and a 7-footer comes, it's not stupid to assume that he might be a ball player. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? You know? You don't know Patrick Ewing unless he's sweating. Like, you don't know Patrick Ewing. That's just racism. You know what I mean? That's just racism. It's not, you know, because they didn't continue to submit and try to work for that club, or they, you know, they went on bigger and better things because the club wouldn't invest in them. You know, that's really what, and they were critical. But the thing is that we can end up being those westernized, outside looking in, you know, sociologists, always criticizing people. The 1 to 36 is the first set where that syndrome comes. So that's why, like with the young, when I teach the young, I go, you know, it's like, they walk by Foot Locker, they're waiting for the new LeBrons and some shit. Oh, look at Dope, he looks dope because of nothing, you know, like there's always a moment, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, if the train doesn't come on time, are you yelling? Because it don't have to come at the time it says on the thing. You know what I mean? If they don't give you your check on time from the company, we can say the same thing. You know what I mean? We're embedded in this devil of civilization. So we may not accept the interorientation, but we're inside of what they interorientated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. We may not agree with the interorientation, but we are inside of what they interorientated. You know what I'm saying? So we are subject, though, to the same, you know, same moments of being fooled just because of the way this system is designed. You look at the 1 to 36 as a checklist for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You know, as a checklist, and all the nationalities go through with it. Reminds me of it's not just the who it's really designed for. Those who had suffered through have ancestors that suffered through the transatlantic slave trade, which would be the anyone of direct African descent. You know, Latinos. You know, all you Latinos, right? You know, African Americans, and whatnot. You know, the West Indians, whatnot, right? But it also relates as a lesson. That's the point. It's a lesson. You know what I mean? It relates to a lesson to a lot of other people. I remember watching a great example to Kung Fu. Once, I think it's the first one, the Once Upon a Time in China series, the first one, Jet Li. They show that in there where the people are getting fooled to get on the boats to come to America. You know what I mean? And the same thing is happening. You know what I mean? And they think that it's going to be better. And at some reason, they get convinced that it's got to be better.
Right.
You know, but it's not, though. You know what I mean? It's not. You know? In fact, everything is changing because in the movie, it's during the times where, like, now, you know, the white man is really starting to use guns and warfare. You know what I mean? Right? So it's affecting, you know, and it's affecting the Kung Fu, of course, because now guns are in the play and shit. Right. Yeah. Like, now they can't easily just fight, you know, one-on-one. You know what I mean? But, let me read some of this. I see Self I Build wrote something. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Peace, Malik. 7-8 couldn't hit consistently, yet had no problems in field for playing catch. That's good. Yeah. American football after the concussion show, all the players can barely walk. Yeah. You know, football's a good thing, you know, important too, though, right? We know we already have the science of what it does to the brain and everything, but it's such a meal ticket that people's gonna go with it though, and with such exceptional athletes, you know what I mean? Like that shit is not changing, you know. Shit is not changing, you know.
The guns are in. The minute y'all started talking in sports, y'all turned into Charlie Brown's teacher to me. Womp, 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 womp. It sounds good to get that high science.
Yeah.
But that's I ain't into womp, 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 womp.
I know, yeah. It's crazy. Yo, I think Day-Son, you're the only black man I know that doesn't know anything about sports.
I mean, the second.
And he's in bougie. Like, he's supposed to be bougie. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like that's Black Fraser shit. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know what? And I don't give a half a fuck about it either. To me, all it is y'all are a bunch of Romans in the Colosseum watching the Christians being fed to the lions.
But that's the take. You know, that's the take. Yeah.
So why am I gonna waste my time? I know how this ends. Some Christians gonna get torn apart. Boo hoo. Let's move it on.
Yeah, but that's definitely the take. Yeah. But man, it's fun to watch though.
I mean, but if you've seen one Christian get torn, you've seen them all.
I can't even argue with that. Yeah, man. Self-I-Bill, you said, while working daily towards the attainment and having balance within all areas of my life, such as health, family, and wealth, it keeps me motivated to rise up with my own self-doubts and self-imposed limitations in order to manifest this much desired balanced state, which is predicated on the proper implementation of the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I possess. That's peace. That is one long sentence. But it was good. That's right,
First semester Baruch, Professor Black, the person that they said was racist. I don't think he was racist. I just think he was a British man who kept it real.
Right.
He got on me about run-on sentences, and from that day forward, I've been conscientious of making sure I break my sentences up into perfect symmetries.
You know what though? I had read about they say this about Latin American novelists like Garcia Marquez and all of them, that it is a style to write run-on sentences though. Once I read that, I was like, no, I'm not giving up this shit at all. Like,
the whole point of the matter of that was I'm conscientious of it, especially
right, yeah.
However, we learn the rules so that we can more effectively break them.
That's right. The Miles Davis law, yeah. That's why Miles Davis, by the way, had beef with Ornette Coleman because he said he couldn't play right, so he didn't have the right.
He said there are no mistakes
to go into free jazz and do that other shit because he couldn't play the regular shit right. Okay, he was a hater though. He's dumb.
Miles is wild.
Yeah. No, Miles. Yeah.
Like some of his old interviews.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the goat though.
I'm tired of hearing white people.
Miles can do no wrong with me. None. He can do no wrong.
Or some Snoop stuff. Wasn't that Dalai Lama that they attributed that? You learn the rules more effectively break them.
I don't know. I know that Miles said that too. You know what I mean?
So who said it first? Was it the Dalai Lama or was it Miles Davis?
I don't know what rules is Dalai Lama breaking?
No, but I'm saying it.
Like when he kills somebody, though, I'm gonna make you suffer breaking these rules. I've mastered the noble path. You know.
No. What had happened was Dalai Lama was reading Miles Davis reincarnated.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Shit. I got enough for that though.
I mean, Kundun was a very important film in my development, so whatever. But was it Kundun or was it that an Oliver Stone film? Kundun?
What, Dune?
Kundun.
Platoon? I know.
Kundun, the story of the Dalai Lama. I think it was Oliver Stone.
Oh no, I never saw that.
Speaking of which, did you see the big hypodermic needle into the mass media consciousness in that Oliver Stone film? It's like really setting them up for for this whole new can of commerce coming forward with all the legalizations of marijuana. They're trying to really cut the throat of the so-called emerging economies as we know them as a third world. They're putting out the propaganda in the Oliver Stone film and a bunch of nice-looking Hollywood young stereotypes that the best weed in the world comes from California.
Setting the foundation because they're gonna be the biggest seller, right? Yo, it's coming. They're gonna corporatize that very fast.
Yo, if you didn't peep that sleight of hand, check that film. I forgot the name of it because it was a forgettable name. But people how they doing this. When Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola start like sniffing around the trees, you should be knowing that as a wise Cree man by the name of GAD said, they only had it on a prohibition for a while so they can perfect this Frankenweed. So now that they've got the Frankenweed perfected, they can let us free.
Wow.
If it don't got seeds, treat it like the watermelons.
Hmm.
But hey, Dad invested in those electrical. What do you think about electrical cars before I run out of here?
That's a nice idea.
Do you think it's a
Probably.
sustainable model? I think one of those car companies like Volkswagen or some say they're completely electric now.
Yeah, they almost did.
Something that is not fossil fuel is going to have to come. So it literally has to experiment. Right?
But wasn't there a dude at like the turn of the century who had cars running on water? And they like,
Yeah.
There's a documentary of that. Who killed the electric car? I remember that.
And it was an original man from like Detroit or something who created his own machine to make water.
Peace to God.
Peace.
You know what I mean?
I'm Day Sun, bro.
I seen going on law. We built DJ Will Gates on IG. I don't know if you remember, but I had built you a while ago. You told me to come to the school.
All right. Well, peace. Good to see you still around, you know?
Indeed, dog.
Sometimes when the tossing and turning comes, cats get thrown. I don't know. Cats come over to have a siphon built and dude just turned up missing. Peace to the God.
Peace, God. This one is that other one. I'm gonna delete that other one later. Yeah, I didn't even open up my notes for this class. Where's the notes?
But I like how you put that together though. It's like, yo, we need to start, adding integrity into cipher. What ciphers are you adding integrity?
Indeed, God. And part of the lesson, part of the work of getting 120 is to be able to articulate what you consider integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why, like, if you watch things, it's good to talk about them. Whether you watch sports, whether you watch movies, whether you watch these things, it's important to define the principles that we have and really articulate them, because the only way we can save these youth is to be able to put that into real words.
Right.
And that's something that the Tao says, like it says that when righteousness fades, then the rules and principles are born. They don't mean that it pops up. It means that you have to actually say what it is when it's not there. You have to define what righteousness is, Right. So we have to actually explain it though, because it's not really there. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
We had a lot of benefit because a lot more songs, there were, if we look at it, it's really not that we're flooded, with junk, right? It's really that back then there was a higher proportion of artists that said things, you know what I mean? Especially in hip hop. So we were constantly hearing details, and the knowledge was in there very overtly because the labels didn't know what that meant. They didn't know what that meant. You know what I mean? They couldn't really police it.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. They policed the 5%. They did not want certain things to be said once they knew that you were talking about that. But they didn't really know what that meant though. So it was just like, man, it's rhythmic. It's people's.
Dance into it.
Yeah, man, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Hip hop.
Essentially, right? Brand Nubian's debut, a lot of that is dance level tracks. Like, not really. Yeah, people are thinking like, oh, dance songs like R&B. No, but it's actually got a rhythm where you could b-boy to a lot of these songs. You know what I mean? But
B-boy, Running Man, all that shit.
Yeah, no.
91 did pretty much.
Yeah, a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
It fits so
exactly. Yeah. So
that time, but they breaking shit down.
But songs. So if we don't make integrity simple by having moments where we could define it, that we actually did it, that we actually confronted something. You know, that to me, that's like a thing that you can't really prove it. Like like we talk about 4 devil's heads. I'm more interested in the things that you come and say, look, this is what I did to uphold the integrity.
Mm.
The devil's heads that you take is by consequence. It just happens.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But what are those things? Like, people don't really have those things. They don't have those measures. The Father tried to make it simple, like teach the youth, and you'll get, it'll accumulate those things. But in our daily life, like, for example, COVID times, it's not so simple. Like, go out and teach 9, like the way they used to tell the older gods, like, and there ain't 9 people out here, and then now, even before COVID, though, most of the youth were indoors anyway. It wasn't, unless there was really dire straits and they're out in the street, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, though. The Father was really targeting kids that were in the street. But let's be honest, though. Most kids were in the street. The good and the bad kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most kids were in the street at some moment in time. But how do you get to the kids all of the kids? It's not just through the street.
They didn't have those iPads and shit.
Yeah, so you got to be,
it was more incentive.
Right. So
outside.
In all the ciphers, how do you uphold your integrity? How do you do these things? What are the things that you would do? You know what I mean? You want to be able to at least. It's easier with your children. You want to be able to tell a story that has moments of integrity to it. Like that's what you did. You know what I mean? Right? Al Bundy talk about the 4 touchdowns. What are you gonna talk about? Right? Right? When I talk to my kids, I can tell them, like I tell my kid, like I do my Al Bundy is the source. They tried to make me write shit, and I was like, no, I can't do it like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? This magazine, they took this, but the moments of integrity, you know what I'm saying? So how do you have those? Where do you challenge the cipher? You know what I mean? A lot of times we don't challenge the cipher because not thinking like, well, what would I put in its place? What would I do better? Well, then that's part of the work. That's part of the training. Like, what would you do? What would you do? Like, let's say if it's a small thing, if you're DJing, right? You can't just say, I'm not playing that bullshit cut, though. I got some fucking... You better have a better song. You know what I mean?
Right.
You better have something better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not putting that act out. What do you have? You know what I mean? What do you have? It's like that with everything. You know what I mean? We can't destroy it unless we have something to build in its place. You know what I mean? Right? It's always like that pen thing. When I write, I might have a pen. I hate the way it's writing. But if I don't have another pen, I got to use that shit. You know what I mean? It can't be destroyed before I build. You know what I mean? If I'm not ready to build. Quatis, peace. 793 always with the hip hop knowledge. The first single was "Feel So Good." Yes, it was. A video where brothers were doing their own too. Yeah, I forgot. That was pretty much a dance song. Yeah, I hated it though. I didn't like that song. Yeah, I didn't like that song. When I was a kid, I just wanted hardcore shit. I was
Yeah, but Puga was in the group before.
Masters of Ceremony. Yeah.
And I remember seeing those videos for that shit.
People catching wreck on a dance. Yeah. Pushed by Electra. It's right. Yeah. Electra with a K though.
Tyler.
Yeah. Jarrell, please God. Right. Crimson, I agree. Look, you said true living must manifest righteousness by living supreme mathematics. But the point of this class session and these class sessions, that is Kasim Sahin.
Peace.
Right. The point of the class, the point of the way I'm teaching you, the point of using 120 is that we have real details, you know what I'm saying? Real details, like we know, like, yeah, you got to manifest righteousness. Well, how would you manifest righteousness? You know what I'm saying? How does that happen? You know what I'm saying? That's why it's save self first. Like, what are the things that you do personally that says that? Look, Dayson doesn't watch any sports, right? Make a question, like, make sure that the sports you watching though is a reward and not necessarily though a must. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Every time I watch a sports event, oh man, that whole day I grind like crazy. Though. I'm like, I gotta earn this shit heavy though. You know what I mean? And even when I watch sports events, that's usually when I write in this journal. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be writing, always doing something that I could do while I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Commercial breaks, I'll read, shit like that. You know what I mean? So never trying to waste the time, always trying to pass the time. You know what I mean? I'm also one, and it's funny because I didn't want to get into a back. I didn't think of this, but you know, Dayson is also, we talk about this a lot. And Dayson is very heavy on this, which I always agree. He doesn't like sports, he's a waste of time to watch. But he's also a very heavy purveyor of doing the knowledge to mass amounts of culture and art, just for the simple concept that the more that you put on your palate, the more it awakens the creativity. And we're creators. So if you ever, one thing about Dayson's home that's very similar, he'll have stuff about all types of things. Mm-hmm. He'll collect things that he's not even messing with yet just because, oh, I want to see that. Comic books. He'll buy, he doesn't even know the comics like that. Buy comic books. He'll buy comedy albums. He'll buy all these different types of culture arts. He'll buy paintings, art, things to look at, all these kind of things. So his palette is constantly loaded with all these imagery. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of it kind of extends though, even into the particulars. Like one of the reasons I can write about, when I write about music and hip hop, is because I spend so much time listening to all types of different music at the same clip. You know what I mean? So it opens up the palette. You end up hearing the music deeper, whatever genre it is, you know what I'm saying? And then you could tell what other genres are doing. And you can even detail what you don't like about something because you could see what you like about something.
It's like the more relative.
Right. Yeah. And so the truth is that, like, let's say as a martial artist, sports actually helps because you're seeing physical feats, you're seeing athleticism, you're seeing things like that, you know what I mean? So having that on the palette opens up to possibilities, you know what I'm saying? And seeing, and even to me, I think sports a lot of times can be healthy watching, not really for the obsession when you get, if you're getting mad that your team is losing and stuff, you need to chill a little bit, you know what I mean?
Breaking your teeth.
Yeah, like that's a little nuts right there, you know what I'm saying? I'm going hard body and arguing all day on fucking, the Facebook and shit like that about a team and shit. It's not really, even when I got into the, back and forth, it wasn't really about the Yankees. It wasn't, it was about the concepts of integrity and when we root for something and what did we root for if it was done without integrity? And so are we okay with a 70% integrity level? This team is 70% integrity level. The rest are all cheating and they're throwing spitballs. They're greasing up the back. I don't know.
To 100, so it's like
it's like it rounds off. Like, where do we make our stand? This is no good. You know what I mean? And for me, it's got to be important. You know what I mean? So where do we do these things? You know what I'm saying? But they're also at the same time, and it's to understand the youth. There's very little places where you could see black and brown people do shit exceptionally. I was talking last week, like, black people argue, African American, so-called, and so you start to see them in more movies and shit. So you got more stuff you could watch. You could put it on TV and you don't have to watch white folk. Right? You could do that. You could put the app. You could put Netflix. You don't watch white folk. You watch something. It might not be the best quality. You might run out of shit. You might see some lesser shit because they're not putting their heart into it, or the money is not there to do quality, or they're not investing in quality. It's probably the biggest reason, right? But when I go outside, if I put on shit and I say, I want to see some Puerto Ricans like me doing shit. Yeah, good luck. I'm not seeing shit because they're not really, you know what I mean? So a lot of times sports is where you get to see that. Like, where do I get to see a Puerto Rican that is being lauded as incredible and does something incredible to match that? It's probably baseball. It's probably nowhere else. You know what I mean? You see a black man do incredible things and has the respect to people. A lot of times you're not going to see that, but in sports, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't see that. So it's something that it's hard to take away from the people. It's hard to not value it. You know what I mean? But the thing is that we know these things and we act, we demand greater integrity. You know what I'm saying? I was there when I was saying, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why aren't you demanding that, it be done better? Why don't you force a better hand at this? Nah, we're going to get on doing it this way. And I saw how people willingly made lesser music. That shit is like, it break your heart. You know what I'm saying? It break your heart. I was like a little kid. I was a little kid. I was like, I was like the young girl. They ripped up my LL Cool J poster. And, I need love. You know what I mean? I was ripping it myself. I was like, no, my heroes ripping down posters because that's what happens. Like you see, like you sold out. You know what I mean? And it's by little bits. You know what I mean? People lose their integrity or the challenge. You know what I'm saying? So we make this true and living mathematics, a day's equality, right? Where do we bring back balance into things? We always talk about equality as balance, though. Well, what's the balance? Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, born equality. 1 + 2 + 3. In every cipher, though, what's missing from it? Is it the knowledge? Is it the wisdom? Is it the way that they use the knowledge not there? Or is it that there's no real understanding? Misunderstanding is being followed even though knowledge and wisdom is there. So what do you uphold? What do you inject into it? You know what I'm saying? This is important. We got to look at things in each and every aspect, each and every way. You know what I mean? Right? Like the enlightenment goes, each and every way I'm going to show and prove, right? So it's okay to go through our daily life and question everything, even the shit that you have fun with. You know what I mean? How are we going to do that? That's what equality is. To look at every single thing that you're doing. That's why he likes the devil, because the devil gives him nothing. It's the equality degree. You know what I mean? It's one of my favorite fucking degrees, man. It's fucking jewel. Because it's poetic. It's an entendre, literally, of this whole shit. You know what I mean? Most of this shit is nothing unless you have the integrity to make it something.
So, quick story. Like when I first was getting into the 1 to 36, I was, dealing with this chick or whatever, and she come from like a Christian background. So we kind of got into that conversation. I was like, yo, like, why you still follow it if you got all these questions and certain shit is off? And she's like, yo, listen, I just don't want to die and go to hell. And I was like, yo, you like the devil because the devil gave you nothing. Why? Because the devil planted fear in your heart when you was not a little boy, but a girl. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You only following this shit because you're afraid.
It's fear. It's grown people fear. So isn't that going to leak into other decisions? It's going to leak into decision making. You know what I mean? Not to have the fear that we'll do something that seems to be devilish when it's really not. It's just challenging.
Right.
You know what I mean? Something that seems to be disrespectful, but it's really challenging. And this is where youth, they get destroyed, because the youth, their nature is to challenge things and to almost disrespect. The children, they disrespect your heart, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, man, like, I'll do a whole bunch of kung fu shit. Like, that shit's corny. I'm like, that's the whole tank. That's the whole tank. I did like 5 animals. That's the whole tank. That's whack. And so, no, I saw the movie with Jet Li, and you didn't do it like him. I can't do that. I can fight. I can kill. Really, I can.
Nah, but you ain't do it like Jet Li, though.
They didn't do it like Jet Li, though. Come on, But the kids, they admit the truth. They admit. You know what I mean? They tell the truth. They're honest. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say it's the truth because it may not be true what they're saying. Right. But they're honest and they challenge everything. You know what I mean? Right. Where do we respectfully challenge things? You know what I mean? Yeah. Quartis, you said equality, a weighing of your position, 6, or your station in life. Thought is the device that influences that position. In physics, the rule of balance is called the principle of moments. I like that. So being in the proper position at every moment and using the principles of the supreme mathematics as a measure of what to balance oneself by. Because outside forces are always weighing against this. Supreme math can be a good way to check where we are and how to reset the equilibrium. It's interesting when you say that blacks may complain about the movies and then we could see more blacks on screen. It is. You know what I mean? It is. You know? And see, then we see a whole bunch of, shitty movies or coonery. You know what I'm saying? Because they realized that the something was going to be made into a nothing. We'll give you more people. We'll give you more blacks, but we'll give you shitty stuff. You see how the something becomes nothing. We ask for something, but it gets turned into nothing. You know what I mean? Because I always think of Jamie Foxx when I think of that shit. One of the great actors, right? No, he could really do anything, right? He could do anything. In any type of comedy he could do. Like he's technically funny. He could do imitations of any kind. He could sing. He doesn't have like a roaring vocal, but he has a voice, right? He could act dramatically, all that. But after he got the Oscar, what do you see him in? You see him in game show hosts. You see him doing lesser sitcoms, right?
That's wild.
Right?
When you think about it, yo.
It's
That's
like
fucking wild.
We got something that was something, and then we have to see him do nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's it. It's where the next level has to step up and say, man, we need to, And again, this is why when we say capitalism, people keep talking about, if I make a better product, then people will like it. No, it's the means of production. You don't think that people make an incredible show? People make incredible show movies all the time. It's the means of production that own it that are going to give you that. So, well, what if we made our own? How come they always got to make their own? Because they're the ones being consistently invested in. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, we can't be so a lot of times we're harsh on our own people as if we were supposed to buy up all the land. You know that most of the land is already bought up. So if we do get land, it has to be given to us. We can't just buy it.
Right.
Because if we go, no, we'll pool our resources up. We would never make enough money to buy the land that is already priced higher than what it was. Why do you think that this school is so prized? It was given to us, this land. There's nothing more valuable monetarily than this land itself. Nothing. You know what I mean? It's nothing. And the thing is that everywhere we go, all the somethings that we had in our head become nothings. And that's why you got to keep teaching the youth, because they check you. They'll check your thing. It's like, they're not good enough. You don't think the next leaders are the ones that are young and they're like, man, y'all doing this again? We're still riding after all these years? That shit is depressing. We have babies, right? And they're growing up, and it's like, it's like we're 1960 all over again. It's literally a whole, we're lost in the forest and we just hit the same rock that we put down. This is where we're at. We're gonna keep walking straight, and we go back to the same rock we was at. You know what I mean? That to the youth, that becomes really depressing, and then they react not really by action, but by a lot of, look what they do. We're joking about, well, that was all fair, but we talk about the LGBTQ and all these different names of people's genders and shit like that, right? It takes you away from the fact that physically it's only male and female. Physically, it's only male and female. And we don't take into account all the studies that show that when the foods are altered genetically and all that, it has been shown to affect actual lab rats and mice, where they actually change, and the female will have a female body and a male mind and do things that a male would do, and thus killing the actual offspring, because she can't inseminate. She has to be inseminated, but acting like a male. So she'll refuse any of the other men because she's a man. She's a man. It's just happening. No, but we can't have to be politically correct, this and that. And so what happens, right? The youth see the same cycle. So they try to escape by setting a new paradigm of what they are. Maybe if there's something else, they won't be subject to everything that we are as this.
Right.
And every time you look, that's the same thing you see. When people try to escape, they try to be something else so that they don't suffer what they already were has been suffering.
Yeah.
And we see all these different labels, all this work on all these different labels. And what you really see is a lot of angst, a lot of anger, and all this elevation of technology and all this capability, and we still just get treated like, animals. Animals. Because that's like a zoo animal. We're still treated like zoo animals, where no matter what we do and who we are, every time we see police, it's almost like we always have to think like, oh shit, I gotta, maneuver smooth here, this and that. That's like animals that are ready to be zapped and have to stay in their enclosures and stuff. And so what? What happens to an animal? They just stay there. Those cows, cows are very smart. For example, cows, they're very smart. Mm-hmm. If you see cows though, and they're about to get killed and shit like that, they start crying. You see cows crying and shit. They know. There's been stories where cows have escaped. You see cows running away and shit. They know. I know I'm fucking up your burger meal, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? Animals are very smart, but they quit. It's like, yo, I don't have a play right here. That's really what it is. I don't have a play.
I do.
I get killed like right now. I mean, they could just take me out right now. You know what I mean? So we live like animals in an enclosure of the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? That shit is nuts. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because I live in Staten Island, an area that is not grimy. You know what I'm saying? And when the police come, they're actually just, checking things out, seeing if everything is cool. And it bugs me out every time. It bugs me out every time. So I see the cops, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's totally different because, you made it. You're here. You don't have to, we don't do that here.
Now how they rolling around.
You just stay civil and we'll be civil. Oh, okay. Yeah, really? I could just be civil here. It's all right. Yeah. Right? Because, anywhere else, though, the point is that it's the way you look. You don't have to, it's not you just being civil. We have to work, we're working on being invisible. And it's funny because Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, that classic novel, he was upset at having to be invisible, and yet we're 2021, and that's really like the warrior strategy. Like, I was thinking, like, remember Ghost Dog in the beginning of the movie? And he walks and no one sees him. They throw out the garbage. Nobody ever should notice. He's massive. That shit bugged me out so much because I'm like, yo, that's the ultimate black man survival warrior
to be low.
Skill.
To get low.
Yeah, like.
You gotta be on stealth.
Complete. He had mastered it. Complete stealth. And remember?
Yeah.
He's walking through. Nobody even saw him. And then he pulled a hit out, and nobody even noticed it. Like, it's like, yo, you're a big black man. No one saw you just kill that guy right there, right? With the, don't give me that silencer shit. You're giant, and you got a gun. Like, just almost a fantastical tale that was so telling. Like, it was I love that movie. I love that movie. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. So like, we have to teach the youth. We have to challenge the youth not to try to change themselves from nothing into a something by just having a new name, a new identity. We have to give them the tools and unleash their intensity to be daring enough to go out there and demand that what they truly are is going to be what they truly are. You know what I mean? It's what they truly are, And that's the whole thing. You got a lot of work, you know what I mean? You got a lot of work. Because the way that you see it now, they have no sometimes we have no way of saying like, oh, we made strides. That sounds so stupid.
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid, you know? Because the truth is that what we did, this knowledge of self came, and it was really the gods that we really changed hip hop into a perfect sounding board culture. That it actually was disseminating the culture. You know what I mean? And it still has that ability. Obviously, the music is that quality still, but it's so on the underground that it just has to be discovered by people. So we have to teach the youth, like, listen, it's a whole world. We're back at civilization. You know, that's the first step of teaching, civilization. Showing them what is underneath, what is the real world. People get mad, like, oh, look, the hip hop, not talking about things out on the radio and shit. Well, so what? The whole point, like, you know, the whole point of the Matrix, like, yo, let's take the youth down into the griminess. Let's show them this shit again. Let's show them it's all here. It's not a thing that you go find. It's something that you go do.
Right.
Every time you see youth and say, no, but that's the hip hop that's out. No. The hip hop that's supposed to be out, that's supposed to be quality, isn't what you're subjected to. It's what you're supposed to be going and making. To me, half of these kids will probably make better records than what they're listening to.
That's a fact.
Right? And have so much more to say. But they think what they're hearing, you're supposed to sound like the Migos or the Drake and that.
Pop Smoke.
That's how you're supposed to sound. So I can't really, I don't sound like that, or I'm not. These guys sound like shit. Show them a new world. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to sing a Disney song? Get them on the magic carpet. You know what I mean? A whole new world. You know, get the P.E.A.C.E. Bryson on. You know what I mean? Show them a whole new world. You know what's all those Disney movies? They're always about finding something new, finding the real world, taking you out of your imaginary, the Alice in Wonderland, right? Down the rabbit hole, right? Peace, God.
Peace.
Aladdin, he taking Jasmine through some new shit. Like, let me show you some new shit, right? That's what we're telling youth. We got to show them something. We got to do something that sparks their creativity to another level. And for that, it takes a challenge of integrity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because look, similarities, I'll give you an example. Similarities in culture is that all culture has some type of parameter that you have to be under. Jazz, you got to learn how to play the instrument first before you could flip it. You can't do none of that John Coltrane shit. You can't play it. You know what I'm saying? Blues, same way. The legendary Robert Johnson, if you ever studied jazz, blues, he sucked. Then he went through some hell. There's a great documentary on Netflix about him. Then he came back, and they said that he sold the soul to the devil, you know, because they do with the mystery guy. And he was amazing. And he even innovated like a seventh string on that joint. And he was doing shit. They were like, yo, you was trash. How the hell did you become so good? The truth is, he probably knew how to play, but he couldn't express himself. And when he went through that hell of losing his wife, that probably led him to just go deeper into expressing himself. To express himself, the only way he knew how was playing. He had to practice better, more seriously, more intensely. There ain't no mystery. He didn't make a deal with the devil. You know what I'm saying? What he did was he got the devil out and learned how to express himself. The first way to deal with the youth is to be able to make them comfortable with expressing themselves. And I noticed that one thing that lacks, not just because the music sucks, but kids don't really express themselves. They express themselves by saying things that would be said by another person. That's not the fucking culture. Right? So if they do like, yo, oh man, I sound just like blah, blah. I don't give a fuck with this, right? Blah, right? Lil blah. I sound just like Lil blah.
Yo, even the producers do it now. Like they'll put a beat out and like Pop Smoke, so and so sounding type beat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
you know what I mean?
It's different.
And then, you know, like, look, Pop Smoke was a good kid and everything like that. But he expressed himself in, to me, was lesser music, but he did it in his own way and started to inject just some of the things he was dealing with.
You know,
And it became to people this vibrant music,
right.
even though it wasn't really all that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how low the barometer is as far as people express themselves in that sound. Like, you know, it was designed that way. People swear that what they hear out there is what black people made. That's what black people made for them. You know what I'm saying? And we're constantly getting jacked. You know what I mean? You be seeing products with hip hop words used and shit, and there's white people making that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a thing on Twitter. It was like the cookie plug. Box of cookies. You open it up, says it was all a dream. I said, only white people make shit like that. That's corny. That is so freaking corny. You know what I mean? Just using whatever lingo that they could come out. You know what I mean? Like, it's gross. You know what I mean? But we got to do something. We got to challenge them. You know what I mean? We got to challenge them. We got to show them what is out there, what's deeper out there. You know? We got to show them how. See, one of the reasons that hip hop works so well, not just for the lyrics with the knowledge, but it had a historical component, because you go back in time to find music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more you dig in the crates, the more you find the stories that go with the music too. You know what I'm saying? Because then you start seeing album covers like, wow, look at that shit on the album cover. You start finding songs where like, yo, you saw what she just did. She just yelled through a whole song. Like, you know, you find Abby Lincoln and she's just like, ah! right? And you're like, oh, that bitch can't sing. No, she has a beautiful voice, but like, yo, she just yelled through the whole, you know, Max Roach joint. You know, that was like the first record I got with her on it. And I was like, yo, she bugging.
Right.
Because you don't, there's no R&B cuts that I was hearing in the 90s that had that shit. I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? So it's like, how do we challenge them? We have to show them shit. Vicariously, by default, we were showing shit. And we never did that when we taught any of our children. None of the kids was taught. And once they strayed away, there's no hip hop. No one's going back. 120 is a historical exercise. You're supposed to go back in time. You're supposed to minus 1934 by everything that you see in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What were they doing here? Why is Elijah? Why? Because we respect Elijah. Elijah said the black man is God, and the shit, he was right. God damn it.
Right.
He said that the moon was blown off from the earth, though. He sounded like a damn idiot. And he was writing exact, though. He was writing exact. We all laughed. He was like, nah, you know, he's crazy about this shit. He's writing exact, though. Read any book on the moon today that they're gonna say.
Nah, Pete.
You know? Some type of explosion that took it off, you know?
Know exactly
right? And he said that. Where the hell did he get that information?
In 34.
Access, you know what I mean? He got deep in the culture. You know what I mean? And it's just so important, man. Wise you said today's to weigh and judge everything, be disciplined and well balanced in all science of life, and see what kind of benefit is being produced as a useful tool by mastering the trade to give back equally. You know? And I like to extend that to trade, right? To trades. We got to dabble into all types of things, you know? And if we talk about real hustle, I teach this to my kids. Like, none of, you know, my oldest can learn this because my youngest is like still, you know, she's just going to be 8, so she's still 7. Well, my oldest, I said, listen, you got to try and engage in all the things that you love. Because the only way to really live in tomorrow's world is by having a hustle and everything. It's like, yo, that game, you know, the hustle street side, they do not teach that in business school. You know what I mean? They don't teach, you know, remember the whole, the Wu-Tang skit and the Chappelle, you know, you got to diversify your bonds, you know what I mean? The hustle has to be out. You have to be able to do anything. The only way I make money is by doing all these things I know how to do in all fields. Because some of them aren't making money, but they're helping me make money with other things. You know what I mean? and they're opening up things and other things. There's just no way. There's no way. We can't. Our children can't depend on a rigid discipline through college and then just being hired into that discipline, because that doesn't happen. I'm of my generation is the one that got college degrees, which includes me, is the ones that tried that and it failed miserably.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got downsized at least twice from companies. Once I got that big desk job that, the old earth was always talking about. You know what I mean? I finally had a desk and they downsized me. That's the way it works. Or you end up in cubicles and it's a dead end position. There literally is nowhere to go. There is no upward mobility. You know what I mean?
My generation was looking at your generation and generally like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah. and
but we didn't have a plan to
right,
go along with that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So we, kind of
yeah.
So now I gotta.
There's no planning. And business school doesn't teach you that at all. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you to be an entrepreneur of multiple disciplines and fields. Yeah.
My high school was a business school. They teach you.
Yeah,
they taught you to work for.
The main thing I learned, I went to a business high school, and that's what led me into business into a business school in college. The biggest lesson I got from business high school, right? The business program was how to type.
Yeah, my type.
I'm a writer. I tried this. I tried this last year because I was trying to get a regular job. I was trying to get a regular job, and I had a typing test. Though I still could type 65 words a minute.
I'm nice with it.
It's crazy.
40.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So now I could maybe we take the time machine. I could go back though and be the first Puerto Rican male secretary in Manhattan, in 1942, because I'm typing faster than all these women. Shit. With my luck, though, then Time Cop kills me, because Time Cop kills me because these pigs are everywhere, right? The Time Cop kills me, Fucking Van Damme ass, kills me and shit. It's crazy. Yo. I'm saying though, I can't think of any kind of business tool I got in there that I remember. You know what I mean? All the while, the brothers in the street are telling me how to cut shit. They're talking about cutting shit up. This is a brick. This is that. Because when I got into the streets, it wasn't by trying to make money. It wasn't even sports, because all the brothers that were dealers when I was growing up, they knew how good I was at school, and they kept me on. They will. It's time to go home.
Right.
And I listened.
Right.
I loved hip hop, and we talk about hip hop all night. But it was time to go. They give me that warning, like, yo, shit's gonna pop.
Yeah.
I got nothing to do with that, so I'm going. I got no stake in the game, and I got no part of that. When I started to go in the streets, because it was through hip hop.
Yeah.
Because I'm chronicling all these musicians, and the only way they could afford any shit, because you're not affording all the equipment to record a song in the 90s without doing some shit. It can't, it costs too much money. The only people that had it without legally were white kids.
Right.
The only kids that had studios that they got it because they got allowance, or their parents gave them the money and they bought it for them, which is all good. Because a white kid I knew that had the illest studio, he had the keyboards, the SP12s, he had everything, the MPC, he had everything.
Yeah.
He was doing in his whole fucking room. But he was good.
Yeah.
He was good. You know what I mean? He was a good beat maker. But most of these kids, right, from my neighborhood, I was like, yo, we gotta go outside for a while though. What are we doing? So I'm gonna pick up a key right now.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how you got. There's no way you could do it. There's no way you could build a little studio, rent out a little apartment and make a little studio. There's no way. There's no way. Everything, So how do we teach our kids though, where they could have this hustle mentality, righteously do the things that they want to do, not just give up all their integrity though, yo, that's the way it is, I'm a hustler. That's not what I want for my children. I don't want that. I don't want them to be like, yo, shit was real though. I had to do the IG, Dad, I had to show my tits everywhere.
Right. I had to do
You know?
things.
Yeah. Yo, remember when Chris Rock said that, my dream is
to make sure
my daughter stays off the pole? Now it's like, yo, I hope my daughter stays off the OnlyFans. Because now
the pole is
like athletics. No, that is not athletics. I'm sorry. If I see you do a split and hold your yoni out in front of me like that,
and you got some short ass shorts on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm saying, if I could see, if I could see everything, it's like that's not athletics. So you're just preparing. That's training. That's not athletics. It's not a sport. But
it also sounds like the devil giving them like I don't know. I'm really trying to understand.
It's a nothing that we turn into something.
This is my art.
Let me tell you something. No, look, what they have mastered too. Because look, they master us, God. They turn our something into nothing because they know that we know how to make lemonade, and they manipulate that lemonade shit. They could put us through the most intense, horrible shit because niggas will make lemonade out of anything. And so they put things, and then what happens is that they support us when we make fucking lemonade out of shit. It's so funny that, white people will embrace all that shit, pole dancing, all that kind of shit.
Right.
But you don't see them turning their homes into, they still will civilize themselves up so they don't turn their whole houses into whole households, right? A household where it holds hoes in the house, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because we get into these things and we lose all civility is out the door.
Yeah.
It's all civility, you know what I mean? Where do so we're not doing things saying like, okay, that's too far. We may have innovated a little too far with that. You know what I'm saying?
I think part of that is because the little bit of morality and integrity somewhat that original people whatever had prior to some shit, you know what I mean, was more pushed through religion. So once we kind of start not fucking with religion, it was kind of like, man, fuck everything that go along.
Yeah, because freedom,
you know what I mean?
The religion was the culture. And they realize that the culture's binding, then they go for freedom. You know what I'm saying? In all respects, though. What happens, though, when we deal with this knowledge, though? I keep it straight up with everybody. You deal with this knowledge, and you deal with a woman, all of a sudden, when they feel constricted because they don't get the things that they would like or the limelight or they don't get to where they want, they don't see it as like, yo, this is us grinding as God on earth and the devil's civilization. No. I'm too constricted. I need my freedom.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And then, now it's the culture's no good. You see? The culture's no good. Let me change the culture. And see, the thing is, though, is that it's a classical cliche, throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because people, they throw away their religion and they throw away all the morals and ethics that have nothing to do with the religion. And we're not founded by the religion. And we're just part of, we're in that religion of Christianity or whatever it was, and was actually making it suitable. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things to learn about Elijah. Elijah never was denouncing the religious culture. If you notice, he was saying that the entire thing is a charade. And all of those things, I can give it to you in this, with this truth instead of the lie. Right. So we could have all your daughters picking a good suitor, like in a Christian church where, I want you to pick a good Christian boy right here. And he's right there in the pews, right? And everything is there, We got your good network, though, Christian, so you get your job. No, we got that network here, right, with the truth, not some dead white man that we got protection from the clan and devils and all that. We got that too. You know what I'm saying? So basically saying, listen, you don't have to throw away the baby with the bathwater. It's just the foundation of it, though, is going to keep you always looking up at him. Just come over here. That's a big step. And I think it's something that we forget when we get knowledge of self, that we are doing the Elijah Muhammad role in the lives of the women and the people that we learn, of our families, all of that, because we have to throw away their religion, but we have to realize that there's a lot of other good ethos and ethics and principles that are not from Christianity, as like they don't own it, and that's not going to get lost. Don't throw away all that shit. Right. You know, because people, they get the knowledge, like, yo, I'm gonna do whatever we want. Yo, we're righteous, not holy though, so I try to do the right thing. But most of the time, you're fucking not, because you have no guidelines of morals and principles, because you're so steeped in like the freedom to be this culture that is just fun. I'm liberated. I could be the God. I could do whatever I want.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not the
and that's what you see. So then what happens is people don't respect it either. There's something they say about youth, young children as well. They say that children need structure. You know, you see this all the time though. You know, I give my kids a lot of structure. But in those moments where I say, nah, do what you want, they actually get more bored. They don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yo, or
right? And they get more rebellious. They get, you know, because they need some type of structure. Why do you think a lot of kids that they're not paid attention to, they get really good and they really good with the technology? Because if the technology is giving a consistent structure of focus, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's real important though. The culture can't be lost. So when you build with people about things, you have to know what the culture is. Like, and I'm talking about 4, Supreme Math, what the culture is that is in there. Because all of the religions, no matter how steep they are in line, they're being survived by real culture. That's why it's trick knowledge. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To keep Christianity, those Christians actually do have to like show some type of love. They have to procreate somehow. They have to make a living society of somehow. And for the most part, right, people really trying to be righteous in some way in what they think. You know what I mean? Even if they do it because they're scared of hellfire and brimstone and shit like that, which is horrible. That's terrible. Like, you know what I mean? It's fucking horrible. But so how can we extract? You know what I mean? How can we extract? You know, and it's so hard to do. You know what I mean? With everything that we see people do, because when you get this knowledge, everything looks like, yo, you're doing so much wrong shit right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not just like we notice music and things like, because that's me in music my entire life. Like, oh my goodness, you listen to it. You know, music, I'm Frasier. I mean, they sound Frasier when it comes to sports, but music, I'm like, what are you doing? But that's real important. It's real important. You know what I mean? And then now that the man's role is being lessened overtly, not truthfully, because we're still major, but overtly, it's like, oh, he's not really important though. He's this and that.
We don't know where to find the Y chromosome, so you guys don't really matter.
It's all this bullshit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, and they quote articles where people are postulating, they're thinking about it, they're just, you know, throwing out concepts, you know. But these are the same people that are telling you that all of these genders are real, these 1,000,001 genders. You know what I mean? So what people think they are is actually what they are. It's like, talk about a matrix world there. Mm-hmm. You know, that's so fucking problematic. You know what I mean? About anything. You know what I mean?
Because even the science is corrupt. So it's like,
yeah.
Damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But even as the black man's role seems, and the man's role seems to be diminished outright, that's what we have to look at. We have to look at, like, wait a minute, where is the culture? Where is the culture in things? You know what I mean? Because people are quick to dismiss things. You know, right. It's that type of world. You know, it's that definitely that type of world. You know, it doesn't get easier. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of thoughts and ideas because I'm writing something on all this. Okay. You know, right now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say more about it though, but you'll definitely be with this project. You know what I mean? It'll definitely be something interesting to you. But I want to write it and then talk about it. You know what I mean?
No, indeed. I already know.
Because I'm already there. But
that's peace. I'm looking forward to that.
But yeah, but it's definitely it's definitely crazy. You know what I mean? And we also have a new world that we're engaged in. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in these COVID times, people have solidified a false vision of what it is, and now they go back into the real world and we see something totally different. We're going to see something totally different. We expect that to change. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think people's very, very ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't understand what's
They don't
really the shift that's going on right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? You know? But yeah, it's so interesting that our people don't really see how like the most important thing is that universal flag, that black family. And all you see is attacks on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's from personal experience. That's from personal experience, you know what I mean? You know? Women break up with they break up with the fathers of their children and they say, well, it's okay to live this way with,
Right.
seeing your child every now and then, that's okay, it's good. The children, but they don't think about the children, you know what I mean? The babies, how do they see it? What's going to go on? No, nobody thinks like that. And so there's no structure. You know what I mean? And what's always missing is the original man. What's always missing is he becomes the mystery god again. Right? He's become mystery god. In families, the black man has become mystery god. They deliberately make him a mystery god. You know what I mean? They also, and when you see all this death of the black man, that's how you mortalize him. Make him appear as mortal as possible. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Even though all of the accolades that we see are absolutely extraordinary. No, that's only when he's guided though, when he's told and he's a tool, But the function, it's real important. It's real important. You know what I mean? That's why you gotta teach, you know what I mean? That's why it's a big deal. Like we have daughters and stuff like that. We could teach them to be the earth. You know what I mean? We could teach them to be the earth though, so they don't have to go out there thinking all this dumb shit.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing.
You know what I mean? About what a man is and what to expect from a man. You know what I mean? Right? What to demand of them. And what is really an illusion. It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit, but to me, it always boils down to the same thing, to the same thing. But I see in these times of so much technology, I see more people corrupted, more people's ability to create corrupted than ever before. And yeah, every commercial, millennials, like all these millennial commercials, like, oh, now we have this new gadget here and you could create all that you want to create. But yet I see kids with less opportunities to create. They don't even create, you know what I mean? Because they have a phone, right? So they don't carry pen and pad with them anymore. But they don't realize that the pen and pad could be right there. Mm-hmm. And when they write, they just write things that other niggas say.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have to forget though, like people really attack the original man when he develops culture or cultural activities that are based on originality. Because if you have cultures based on originality, it fosters that one young black child to realize that he could change all of this shit because they'll have an idea that nobody's fucking with. Right. That's something that is really not supported. You got to be like everything else. You know what I mean? You got to be like everything. That's why sometimes I do like sports, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. You see a player like Curry, they're like, man, definitely not a physique to have you would think. So he was mad frail. Crazy. Just like, I'm just gonna shoot it from miles away. We shoot it miles away. Remember we used to play, like if you shot it from half court, you're an asshole. Right. You're an asshole. Like if you thought, like, the games are, you get fucked up. Like you can't shoot off.
You really thought you but he
all praises due to the backboards getting that work today though, because kids is breaking them backboards. kids shooting on. You know, them shits got dents and shit. Because you know, them backboards, they can't take that. They got the metal and it's that cross bar. You know, no, the feet throwing that shit that hard though. But yo, the ability to invent new things. You know what I'm saying? The parameters. You know.
Mm.
And so he's saying like, it was wondering why nobody's made up a new genre of music. And it's funny because I think that hip hop is still untapped.
Yeah.
People haven't said everything they want to say. You think they sampled everything? I listen to whole genres that nobody's tapped into that have fire all over them. Like I'm like,
crazy,
right?
Yeah.
We've really only mind heavy into eras of soul. Because
soul and a little bit of
and
funk jazz.
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah, funk jazz, because not really jazz either.
Yeah,
people haven't really mind.
70s jazz.
Yeah,
a
lot of the jazz that's mine is really stuff that was suitable for a break.
Yeah, the jazz jumps and break beats and
because the funk jazz was already there. Like a lot of you know Jack McDuff, his shit has breaks. All his 70s shit has breaks and it's fucking banging. But who sampled 60s Jack McDuff? You know, when it was just a trio and, you know, they didn't have the beat like that. So much left untapped, you know what I mean? So many things to do. And you have a song structure that is letting you sing, talk, and basically use any lyric measure. That's really what you're able to do. You can do any lyric measure you want.
And it's interesting you brought up music because I feel like music is, if not the thing, is one of the most important things to help liberate us in regards to getting the message across. You know what I'm saying?
In this modern world, music is still the number one way that they drone us.
Yeah, that's a fact. It's the
sorry.
I think a lot of people don't.
You put Univision, it's a merengue or it's a reggaeton every other 2 seconds. You know what I mean? For whatever product you have. You know what I mean? You know that when you watch TV for a long time, you could do all the lawyer numbers and shit. You know, I forgot the lawyer one. One time I was out, and then my little one was like, you know, she was doing the lawyer one. I forgot which one it was though. She did the whole thing.
What type shit?
No, the lawyers you call, like when you want that money.
Yeah,
when you want that money, if you want that cash settlement call, I forgot what it was. And she was doing the whole thing, and I was like, yo! I need to, goddamn. I need to get this kid in play some more soul music around the kid. You know what I mean? Have a singing that. You know? Mm-hmm. But it's a lot, though, you know? When you think about equality, every time the 6th day comes, we're always thinking like, yo, this rise above equality shit. Think about your equality. You know what I'm saying? Your equality. Like, you know, in the month, I always like to build as the month goes on. I talk about that with the assignment. The first 10 days, the first 9 days is like the plotting. Like, what type of fury do you get into the month? And what are you going to keep planning? What consistency? You know what I mean? Are there any new goals that you failed that you're going to try for this whole month? You know what I'm saying? Start re-up again, you know? And what are the things we're going to continue and how are we going to continue even more effectively? You know, once you get to the equality day, you should be on your mission already. You know what I mean? So there's already goals. We've already gone through 4 months. So now we're at the power month, right? You should already be like really integrated into a plan. That's what I said with the project I'm doing. I give myself deadlines, you know? And I was blessed though to end up being in a field where I learned deadlines, you know, like that was what we was doing. So like when I give myself a deadline though, that should start spilling out. You know what I'm saying? So like you got to give yourself that. You got to also practice. One of the ways to deal with equality is to always be looking at your measure of, you know, like it's a sports term, but the way you get, you're a gamer, you know, like whether you're going to choke, whether you're going to perform, like all that kind of shit, you know? There's real science on this shit. You know, again, sports science. But there's a book I read. It's out of print. They don't make this shit anymore. I got it from like digging in books and I just took it. And for years, it was just a joke I would put up when LeBron would choke. I was like, he needs to read this book. It's called Don't Choke. Because I'm a dick. He always do that. Because Jordan's the best.
I feel the same way. I don't understand why, but
I don't get it either.
Jordan,
Right?
Jordan all the way.
Right? But when I read the book, it was given real science about the nature of how you reach a state of calmness and get into that zone. It had a lot of jewels. I wrote whole things about this book. You know what I mean? It's out of print. Mine's, it looks like it's decaying. The pages look like the Constitution, like it's almost done. You know what I mean? But it had that science, and like there's a science though to working under pressure and getting the best out of yourself when you demand of it. And that's something that people that are working to be creative, just think of a new idea, think of new ways to do something, create the arts, always have problems with, because there's so much pressure. You know what I mean? Pressure to make that song, pressure to make these records. It's a lot of pressure. Like, you would know, like it's a lot of pressure to make a song when they tell you like, yo, that song, you gotta hand that shit in.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, man, I don't feel nothing now. I don't feel like, you know what I mean? So what do? They try to get into the zone, get this drug, get that liquor, get this, anything to get to the zone, reach a high. Maybe at that high, you'll be in the zone because the zone is a type of high. And that's what happens, But you got to practice being under pressure. Like when you do your workouts, right? Make them intense, but have a guideline. Always I time my session. And I have to hustle to get it to that session, to get it there. And I always clock all that kind of stuff to see how well I do under pressure. You know what I mean? And it gives me a barometer. You know what I mean? A barometer of what you're doing. When I write, I tell this time, when I write in my journal, I have set pages I do a week, right? I do 25 pages, but I try to go, if I have an hour if I have an hour's time, I'll clock myself 10 pages in 1 hour. You know what I mean? Usually I could do that easily, but a lot of times I get distracted.
Right.
So sometimes, am I distracted because the writing led me to create something else that I'm going to write? Then okay, But sometimes I'll just be like clicking and I'm like looking for other songs, getting some music, like, and say, oh, I just fucked up my hour. You know what I mean? I just went off course. You know what I mean? Right? So these are all things, though, to really set your mode to like demanding of an outcome. Part of the work of creating things is demanding an outcome of yourself. But how do you do that with a level of calm? Well, you have to do other things you have to do exercises that are not going to be so demanding of the final work. In other words, it doesn't have to be so great,
Right.
Where you could practice that. That's why for my writing, the journal is that assignment. I don't look at this and this is so poorly written. I don't give a fuck. I wrote it. It was dope, and if I write something that's worthy, like look, I wrote something that's worthy for the project I'm working on, I just put a line on the side I gotta go back and take that shit. You know what I mean? But then I just keep going. You know what I mean? Or I'm okay to drift and go into other stuff. You know what I mean? How do we do that, though? You know what I'm saying? Just like the martial arts training, though. You're giving yourself that time. How intense do you make that session to make it seem like as real? Like people go, look, it rained and shit, the ground is wet. Oh, so you would never fight it. Hey, buddy, it's not good conditions, If that was the case, honestly, every fight would be like, listen, I don't want to fight till I'm wearing polo.
Right.
I like these clothes. I don't want to fuck them up. That's just not the way life works, though. So I just said, okay, it's raining. The ground is not good. What would I do in this type of ground? And I do that. I can't do the fancy shit. What would I really do in real? Then you would do that. Because if shit happened, how would you do it? You know what I mean? Right? Somebody attacks you in a train station. Say, it's not enough room to practice here. Like, well, what would you do? What would you do? You know what I mean? All these things. It's in the practice that's your preparation for performance. There's only two things happening then: preparation and performance. And if you could turn the preparation as close to a performance as possible, and even embrace it like a performance, and make it as creative as possible, the real performance is going to be stronger. In all things. That's Peace Millie. Yeah, what about Trey Young? Yeah, Trey Young be chucking though. He be chucking. Because that shit never looks like it's gonna, right? He kind of shoots like this.
Yeah.
It never looks like a legitimate shot.
Shit.
I don't know how that shit don't get blocked. It looks like it comes from his, like here. It doesn't, it doesn't look like this. It looks like, right?
So maybe he like get it to come up a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm like, how come they never hit that? You know what I mean? But they learned the trigger. Steph Curry learned the trigger.
Yeah.
His trigger is fast. Fucking fast. He's the only guy that I always want to watch though. Him and Kyrie, man.
Yeah.
Always want to watch them. But I always love guard play the most though. The only forwards I like seeing. I like to watch Tatum, Zion, because he's so diesel. He be bullying everybody. That shit's crazy. And he has handles though. He got handles.
Yeah.
And Durant, of course, Durant.
Yeah,
Durant, the nigga with the burner accounts. Talking shit on fucking petty though.
That's crazy.
There's a weakness about today's black man. No, straight up. They can be so incredible about stuff, but there's a weakness. There's a weakness. We got, there's a weakness, a pettiness. There's something that we gotta, we gotta boot camp that shit out of kids.
Because that shit is rooted in a lot of child issues.
Yeah, and if you're dealing, look, and it's boot camp out of kids. It's either through those young boys directly, but also with the girls that you teach. Because you got to teach them, though, what are the criteria of the true and living God.
Right.
The black woman develops the excellence of a criteria, right? By also mirroring that, saying, I expect the true and living God to be this way, and I expect myself to be to be right here with him. You know what I mean? You're going to be beside him. You'll be building with him. You know what I mean? You got to expect more, And then, of course, for our girls, they pump all these effeminized men and shit. What would they pick out of a partner? Yeah, somebody that's going to flake. Somebody's going to be weak. Shit's crazy. You know what I mean?
A lot of that shit got to do with the food too, though, God.
That's crazy right there. He said that. Funny, I mentioned mastering one's equality as they measured Curry's heart rate when in the zone, and he's learned to calm his body to a remarkable pace. Yeah, I mean that's how you do it. That's how you get into a zone. You know what I mean? That's really how you do it. You know what I mean? They say time gets slower. It's not that time gets slower technically. It's that's a theory of relativity again, though.
Yeah.
The time is adjusted, but at the same time, it's because your eyes are faster. So you see more. Example, right? I always give this example when I talk about this. You know that the fly is really not moving that fast at all. Shit is flying. You try to hit a fly, you got to be Miyagi. You know what I mean? Like, you're missing it and everything. The truth is that the fly is moving pretty slow, actually.
Yeah, because you really be like, yo, the shit is right there.
And you miss it. The truth, the reason is because it has so many eyes. It sees, its level of seeing things is so way beyond us that it sees things and it's anticipating. So what does that mean? It means that when you strike, it's gauging and it can analyze and gauge your speed perfectly.
Right.
So you don't become a threat until you're a threat.
Right.
That's the whole Neo shit. He's blocking shit. It has to do with that shit. That has to do with the eyes. You know what I mean? Like he saw things. He saw everything. He's seeing better. He could see clearly. That's what that means. You know what I mean? As I say, you do the martial arts. If you go with a teacher that doesn't teach you how to develop your eyes, you got to see shit. You got to see shit. You got to be able to see shit. That's why Bruce Lee was so fast. You know, he practiced the speed, right? And people seen videos of me. I practiced the speed, obviously. Mm-hmm. But if you don't see shit, who gives a fuck how fast I'm going? I'm getting fucked up first. You know what I mean? I'm getting hit too, right? He sees shit. And then at the last minute, he's practiced the speed so much that he could get that blowing right there. Right. You know? And what he could see so well that he could block it at a good moment where he could block it clean. Right. and not a little sloppy. Or the guy has a chance to pull back or do something different.
Yeah.
You know, you can wait till the guy committed. But that's all the eyes, the skill of the eye, man. You got to practice your eyes, what you see. And that's in all things. The eye is a palette. It develops strength. All the different types of things you watch, let them be valuable. Like you watch a sports though, study, be a student of that. You watch movies though, be a student of that. Have a good thought about everything you watch. You know what I mean? You watch a movie though, go read the Wikipedia of the shit. Look up what the movie, who did it, who did this. Like, do everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Read different type of books. You know, with the kids, watch the cartoons though. They give you different palettes of shit. You know what I mean? Every now and then, watch some adult cartoon and shit. You know, give yourself a different visual. You know what I mean? All of this stuff extends the path. It's just that people waste time with them because they're not doing anything with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right? All of this counts, man. All of this, you know? The man that is going to bring culture is the one that is cultured and knows about all cultures.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so he talks to people and could show them the value of everything they've done. He doesn't have to talk to them and say he dismisses them. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of people think that means you're gonna like dumb shit. No, be cultured. Show them the depths of what that. You know, that's like saying that's a layer. That's like a veil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shitty music, bad movies, coon sitcoms. Those are all veils to real quality arts that are out there. You know what I mean? To quality books. Like, it's everything, right? You ever look for books? How many bullshit books you pass through? You know what I mean? It's a lot of shit. Well, look, Jarrell, the god, Asiatic, he's like, I usually wait until the fly lands and rubs its two front legs together. That's some Miyagi shit, man. He's some Miyagi shit. Let's wait till this motherfucker do shit. Yeah. He's waiting, yeah. See, that isn't killing a fly. That is assassination. That's an assassination. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'll tell you one thing though, as far as like the humanity of things, when I'm outside, I never kill anything outside.
Right.
I was training today. There was a bug passing right over where I was training though, and I took my jump rope and I just kept sweeping him, giving him the direction though. You know, I could have easily just kept going, but I teach my kids unless when they invade where we're supposed to be at, then you can go off them. You know, but if they're outside, just that's where they belong. Why would you? You know, in other words, to take away that colonizer mentality that is in us, like. Oh, look, I'm here right now, so this is my shit. No,
you built your shit on top of their shit.
Really, right? So just try to show, like, because we could give a shit about roaches or bugs, right? Most people, but a lot of the bugs you see outside are actually important. You know,
Right.
A lot of those bugs you see outside are important, especially like in the park and stuff. You know what I mean? They're really important. And then you see bees and things like that. You know what I mean? Give people an appreciation, you know? That's why I love reading different books about animals and shit. All different types of animals, man. I spend mad time reading about that. You know what I mean? And we do with the polo, so I got books about horses and shit.
Right.
Hell yeah. You know what I mean? You see, people's about what we're trying to do, love. It's not about getting that my favorite piece, the 94 Indian chief sweater. No. Yeah. I don't even want that. I want to learn how to ride a horse really well. That's the goal. Fuck all that other shit, though. They would put me on the polo shirt, though. Put me riding on shit. You know? But yeah. Yeah. Put the original man up there. You know? But yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions about anything, I hope that I didn't see a lot of comments today. I hope people were just doing the knowledge to what we're building on. You know what I mean? I hope it was useful. You know? One thing that I always have everybody question is that being called a 5%. You know, we're the nation of gods and earths. We take anything under the umbrella, all humanity, the animals, the lions, the tigers, everything. you say you're a 5%er, it means that you're different because you have something they don't. That leads to a lot of arrogance. It also means that you know things that other people don't know. That leads to massive ego. You know what I mean? So it's always important to, rebalance yourself too and find that equality of what a 5%er really is. Somebody that's sharing the truths that they have. And they could share that ultimate truth if that person is ready and it could be useful. But we always got to check ourselves because it could be that ego shit. You know what I mean? And it's and be an asshole. Right. It's real easy, man. It's real easy.
That's when you said that because I did a build on equality on on Instagram today, and I kind of spoke on that aspect of it.
Oh, that's peace, guy. $7.93 said, back to Tony Montana. It's all in the eyes. Yeah, it's all in the eyes, Chico. Everything is in Tony Montana. Yeah, everything is in Scarface. Yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Tony Montana and everything. My daughter was mad about something, and I cheered her up because she was like, I told him 100 times. And I was like, seriously? You told him 100 times? Yeah. I said, you're old enough to watch Scarface, though. You watch this shit. Because you watch Scarface with me, you're not really going to be horrified. You're going to be laughing through the whole thing. Like I've never watched Scarface and not laughed. Like, the whole thing is just, I love that movie. It's in the wrong way for the wrong way. Right. It's like a spoof movie to me.
Nah, that's a fact.
I just laughed at the whole movie, though, Yeah. Like one day, if I ever meet Michelle Pfeiffer, I'm going to go behind her and dance. Right? Nobody has ever had that goal. I want to say you're a great actress. I loved you in so many movies, though. But so if I just dance, yeah,
like Tony,
yeah, And then if she gets upset, though, then you know what I'm going to tell her, right? If she gets upset, you know what your problem is, right? And just slowly, I get it. And then find out she's not really Michelle Pfeiffer, she's Karen. And she calls the cops on me. Oh, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, you two will have a fun time with you after that one.
Yeah. There's so many class sessions, though, that they could take little sound bites and cancel culture. Yeah. First thing, in May 6, 2021, Sunez said this. Watch this clip. Unacceptable. Like, it's all, I gotta get canceled by it. Yeah, cancel culture. It's looking crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? And they say comedians have more tough times in these more politically correct times. They can't make all the jokes they want. And it's funny because I find people's political correctness even more of a joke, because the real joke is they're so obsessed with the respect of every single change and every single small title that they make in term that they show a lack of seriousness about anything. Right. They're more of a joke because they're not really tackling issues. They're just
exposing them more.
Yeah, they're just changing names to make things work. You know what I mean? But they're not really working the problem. They're just rewording it into a worse problem.
Even like with the Biden thing, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I had seen a post on Instagram that I was going to post today, and I was going to use the 6th degree. Like, yo, y'all like the devil because the devil gave you nothing. This nigga Biden came in, he signed some shit for Asian Americans and this, that, and that.
Right.
And he came in office and he signed shit for African.
And that's the thing, though, right? Like, we know our 1 to 36, that 9,000 miles. Everyone has a different experience of those 9,000 miles. Mm-hmm. The devil's not doing his job if he treats us all the same. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to tear your heart out. It's supposed to go, wait a minute. No, the Asians get shit, though, but Puerto Rico's still colonized. They don't do shit. They destroyed the island, right? They didn't send any aid, nothing when all that shit happened, though. it's okay. Do something for the Asians though, because they beat up a couple of old ladies though, and they had some things. And it's been getting serious, but you know, we don't want that because those are original people and they don't deserve that. It doesn't matter. But we'll do something way beyond the means that we didn't even think and refuse to do for anyone else. It sets up the division though.
Right. And
That's exactly what they
it
want.
is.
You know what I mean?
That's
They want
exactly
people to be
what
mad. Be like, yo, they gave the Asians this thing.
And I'm not mad at the Asians. I know.
And the thing is, though, look, when you think about it, reparations cannot be money. The black man is not owed money. He is owed land. You got to give up at almost half the land here.
Bro. I want my 40 acres.
You got to give up almost half the land. It's, you know, it's ridiculous, you know. That's why they can't do reparations, because they can't reparate what they've done. They can't. You know, what they built up cannot be torn and still function. It's just a fact, you know. And no, black people cannot just pool their money together and buy it back, because they ain't taking no buyers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's on a micro level and a macro level, because like I have family go down south and shit.
It's like,
and I'm like, yo,
that's what sometimes like
land?
People have fantastical views of black capitalism. You know, I'll say this before we close, right? Black empowerment. We do stuff for ourselves, and we're gonna make our own business, right? So we could do things for ourselves and have more money. But we're not gonna be able to pool resources, remember, that come from their own things, that their own money, and be able to outbuy them. That's ridiculous. They're making the money. They have the investments. They have the land. So you cannot buy someone in capitalism. You can only have more assets. And in this case, the most highest, the capital. We don't have any capital. Until we have capital, then we can. That's why I said the thing to develop and protect all the time is intellectual capital. It's the only thing to always develop and protect. Because it's the only thing that we can keep making that they can't take. And we make sure that we always keep it to ourselves. That's the only way we can make massive wealth, you know? And I don't mean wealth like we'll have more money, but we'll have leverage to then get back that land. You know, that's my 2-minute revolution right there, economic revolution, you know? But this thing, we're like, yo, we pull our resources, we'll buy back all the land. That's not what it is. The white man just can give you his land. No matter what you pay him, he could get more out of you, out of the people, blood sucking him. You're not going to get it that way. Only a couple of anomalies will be able to buy some land. But we're talking about like massive amounts of land, you know? It's not going to get done. It's a good book that I read too that got me onto that, by Jared Bell, you know? But email me if you want that book. I'll send it to you. Yeah. Since we're at a close here, I'm forgetting the name of the book. My brother Napoleon the Legend put me onto this book. I knew about Jared Bell, but I didn't know he had published that book. Let me see if I can find it.
I want to see what's up with that, because a lot of us, you know, are going towards a narrative like, you know, we can't physically get this revolutionary popping and just be off at everybody's head. So we gotta, you know, get our freedom economically. But it goes back to the point that you said. You know what I'm saying? That shit ain't as easy as we try to make it seem. Like we gotta build this black utopia and be a nation within a nation. You know what I'm saying? Because some people think like that's what we could do. Oh, let's be a nation within a nation. You know,
yeah, this is the book that he wrote, The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power. Yeah, I'll send you that book though. Anybody that wants it though, I think it's a great read. I haven't even. I even totally forgot to talk to Napoleon about it, because I knew then we'd be talking forever though.
Yeah,
because the book was dope. You know what I mean? But with that said, we're at the close though. I got a nice ride back into Staten Island, so I got to catch up to it. Build, create, and if you need inspiration for it though, then get at me. Let's build, let's create. And keep training like warriors though, because we still got things to fight. All right. Peace.
Peace.